Alright, so back on the road now, and finally heading to DC. Doubt I make any stops on the way unless something really stands out that I want to stop at. So I just left the baseball field. Thank you to the Bulldogs and their baseball field there for giving me an opportunity to take a proper shower for the first time on this trip. And I just feel so much better. Energy levels up, and just feel clean head to toe for the first time since I started actually from day one on the trip. But that was really nice. That was a fantastic little spot. And I was just getting on the road from Luray Caverns, and saw that on the right side there, and saw the dugouts, and saw how it was just opposite facing the road, and went for it. And that was a perfect spot to just set up the shower and get all cleaned up. So basically the involvement for that, first step is getting the pot filled up and getting the burner going, because it takes about 5 minutes total to go through and get that water boiling. So I go through and get that set up while I grab my clothes and stuff out of the bag, and get the bucket filled up with water from my reserves in the back there, so that by the time the water is boiling, I am ready to go. And then it's basically a quick strip down, take a warm shower, which that was a nice warm shower. I was really pleased with that. Get dressed, pack it all up, make sure I don't leave any kind of mess or anything behind, and then hit the road. So, and of course, while all that was going, I have my little charging station here set up. Figured this would be a good opportunity to leave power on to charge my battery packs and everything else from my car battery, since I know that I'm going to be doing the next trip in just a few minutes, and that'll just recharge anything that drained from it from that few minutes while I was showering. That's a big thing about this trip, is it's all about efficiency and making sure I'm adequately using the resources that I have, and that I am using those resources in a manner that's either so I can replenish them, or that I'm not going to run out before the end of the trip. So very careful about monitoring my battery usage on my devices, as well as my battery packs. Try to take advantage of charging wherever I can. So like when I was at the Dunkin' Donuts this morning, enjoying my coffee and breakfast, they had some USB ports. I went in first and saw that, and actually went back out to my car to grab cables and my battery pack, so that I could bring it in and have that sitting charging for a little while. So even though that was only about 15 minutes of charging, I never know when I'm going to start running low on battery, because I'm using different devices, taking pictures, taking video, at my times where I'm just chilling, just watching TV and things, and all of this costs power. And of course, using my shower and my cooler and things is using my water resources. So I got to make sure that I'm just being careful and monitoring all that, and they have places that I can stop at on the way. So speaking of all that, inefficiency, so far I have just about used every single piece of equipment, every device, and every item that I brought on this trip, with the exception of the solar panel that I brought, that I would figure that I would set up at some spots where I was stopped for a little while. But there hasn't really been any sun out the past few days. It's been really overcast, so I wouldn't doubt if I could get a little bit of passive charging on that from sitting and being parked for a little while and having the panel set up. But I'm just not seeing the benefit worth the effort of going through and setting it up and plugging it in and all that. It's just not going to net much for me. So I've been relying mainly on just traveling and just taking power from the car to charge all my batteries, and then running off a battery at any time that I'm stopped. So really, other than the solar panel, everything else I brought, everything, including my chair and table that I set up last night when I was camped out in the Walmart parking lot to eat dinner. I didn't want to eat dinner just sitting in my car. I wanted to be a little bit more stretched out and enjoy some fresh air for a little while. So I set up my little Gator camp chair and table, and had my tablet. I was just watching TV, chilling out in the Walmart parking lot there, eating my sandwich. Which, going into that a little bit more, last night was a really great night as far as my camping, stealth camping goes. Had a real nice, quiet, dark spot in the Walmart parking lot, and I slept great. Don't know how many hours I slept, but I feel perfectly rested today. There were at least 2 other people that were doing the same thing as me, right in the same kind of corner. One was just a guy in an old conversion van. He was in and out throughout the night, just going up and sitting in his driver's seat for a little while, and then going to the back, and then back to the driver's seat. And he got a couple of times to go into store to probably use the bathroom or something, but don't quite know what his deal was. He was solo, and he might have been actually one that was just simply living out of his vehicle. Then a little bit over from him was a minivan with candidate plates on it, and it was a young couple, and they were parked there all night, and I saw them this morning. They were getting out and kind of just, I guess, kind of closing up shop or doing a few things. They were parked there all night as well. They actually practically mirrored my morning routine of going to the Dunkin' Donuts for breakfast and coffee, and then going over to the Luray Caverns. So they were actually in my tour group, and I was actually going to ask them a few questions and talk to them a little bit, except that I actually ended up meeting a couple from Israel who just happened to be standing next to me as we all lined up for the next tour for the cavern. And they spoke mainly Hebrew, but really good English. And we just started chatting a little bit before the tour actually started, and then ended up just kind of hanging out and throughout the whole tour there. I helped them out a little bit because our tour guide was speaking pretty quickly, and their English wasn't really good enough in order to keep up with what the woman was saying. So I was kind of working to translate English to English for them. But they were a lot of fun, actually. We were joking around and discussing the different trips that we're both on right now. They're visiting from Israel, started in Canada, and they're making their way down. They just came from New York last night and have gotten to this area now, and then they're heading south and planning on getting to Orlando in the next couple of days. City that I know very, very well, so I was able to give them several tips. Told them about going to Joysticks, which was a great gaming bar that I went to with a few friends. The last concert I went to down in Orlando. Also told them about Sidebar, my favorite bar to go to there. And then they're actually going to Halloween Horror Nights over at Universal, they said. So it was basically talking to them about my previous experiences going there, now that I've been 3 times, since they had actually never been. So I was telling them all about that and what to expect from Orlando and some things to see, and they were really pushing on me to go and visit New York at some point, and they just kept going on and on about how great New York is. And I really wish I had the time and to be able to go through and actually do this on this trip, because I'm actually not going to be very far from New York. When I get to DC, I think New York's only a couple of more hours away. I could squeeze it in on this trip. The only problem would be is that I'm adding at least another 4, if not 5 hours, if you consider the additional round trip on that. And now I'm on day 3 of this, so I have the rest of the day today, Tuesday, and then Wednesday. I definitely want to be home by Wednesday night, be able to sleep at home and resume my normal work day Thursday morning and routine for all of that. So if I were to go to New York tonight or something like that, I'd be looking at least one entire day of just nothing but solid driving. That would probably be what my Wednesday would be just driving back. And I really wouldn't be able to do kind of the main premise of this trip here, being able to just drive and pick things and go to random things on the way. So had some concern about the idea of that, so I've decided to not even do that, no matter how much they are pushing me to for this trip. I'm going to go to DC, and I'm going to see about spending the day and the night there today, and just see what I can see and hang out, and go from there. I don't really have any more of a plan than that, and I shouldn't have any more than a plan than that. So right now I am navigating to the parking garage that I talked about and researched last night. That says it is a 24-hour garage and has a reasonable rate on it, pretty comparable to what I was at in Atlanta. And the Atlanta parking garage situation was just so perfect. I was so happy with how well that worked out that I'm going to see if I can duplicate that in Washington, D.C. And if so, it's going to save me a lot of time and trouble, and a lot of the unknowns that I'm concerned about is I don't have any real experience with the metro system or driving around in DC, and I don't want to be stuck in traffic and have no place to stop to be able to really see anything. So if I can find this parking garage, get just parked there in a good safe spot, and leave my car there, I will travel on foot or e-scooters or Uber, whatever it takes at that point to just kind of get around and see a few things. And where this parking garage is at is actually pretty close to the Washington Monument, and that's some of the main areas that I really wanted to, or maybe it was close to the Lincoln Memorial. It was down on that general strip of the monuments, memorials, and things like that. So if I can find a spot to park in that area there, I am golden, because I just get around from there on foot without any problems and see anything that I'll want to see. So on the road driving now, and we'll get to Washington, D.C. within the next hour and a half to 2 hours or so. Hoping to see some really awesome things there, but I would have to probably say that Luray Caverns has been the best part of the trip so far. Pretty close second of the Georgia State Fair, because I really had a lot of fun at the Georgia State Fair, and that just being my first random encounter and detour for the trip there, I can't help but want to put that as the most important, exciting thing I've done so far. But the caverns and just how incredible that was. That was a good hour tour that I was down there for that, and got a ton of video and pictures and stuff down there. And then just meeting that cool couple and hanging out with them. I think that's got to be the best part of the trip so far. One thing about this trip here is I am doing this by myself, and the only real interaction I have with other people, for the most part, up to this point, has been just cashiers at Walmart, and a couple of random encounters of random people here and there, just in the cities I'm going to, or the bars and the bartenders and things. So that was the first real conversation that I've had with another person in a few days. So I wouldn't necessarily say that it's lonely going out and doing this by myself, but definitely miss a little bit of the interacting with other people and companionship, and no doubt that some of these things that I'm doing would be more fun if I had another person with me. I also probably wouldn't get as much done in as much of a period of time. As I was joking around with my friend Armin the other day there, I was able to cover everything I felt for the Georgia State Fair in about an hour and a half. And I felt like I covered everything that I would have wanted to do there. And that was because every vote of what to do next was in unanimous agreement. It was me. So no herding cats, or, oh, I want to do this, but I want to do this, and all that. And I typically do most of my traveling and events and things with a good sized group. And so there's always a bunch of cat herding and just disagreement and logistics involved with that. So, it's nice being able to travel and see things without the logistical side of dealing with a large group. The disadvantage of all that, of course, being that I am just by myself and not sharing the experience with anyone. So just some notes about the trip and how I'm feeling now on the day 3 of this. Final notes on all this is I feel like I'm adapting really well to my car being my home, and sleeping in the car and having my supplies and all of that, and just I feel much more comfortable now and far less anxious than I was when I first started the trip. I was terribly worried about forgetting something, or not having something that I drastically needed, and not having a way to kind of account for that, no plan B on some things. So I've had a few mistakes here and there about how things are organized, especially. I definitely need to do a much better job on that in future trips. Right now my back is just a whole hodgepodge mess. I'm eventually going to have to probably do some chores in the car here. I got to clean my room because it's a little bit hard to find a few things right now. When I got to the baseball field to set up the shower and was getting it all set up there, I had a moment of panic where I realized I didn't have the battery to run the portable shower unit with me. And I looked in the bucket where I kept the shower unit and stuff, and I didn't see it there. And I just couldn't help but think, it was like, don't tell me I did something so stupid in bringing the shower but not bringing the battery unit for it. And it turns out that it was just still in the bag in my car. But it's that this constant feeling or thought of, what if I'm missing this or don't have this, and I'm gonna die if I can't take a shower. Pretty ridiculous, and it's just really all in my head. But all of that has really just started kind of to fade away now, as I feel very comfortable and at home in my situation, what I have with me, how I'm set up with my car right now. And I was wondering if I'd start feeling homesick or just kind of get sick of doing this after a couple of days. I haven't at all. I'm loving it, every bit of it. The freedom and independence, the lack of forward thinking that I need for going through and doing all this. It's really freeing. It's something I felt like I've wanted to do for a very long time now. Wasn't sure if it was going to be as great as what I was dreaming it would be, and so far I am very impressed with just how the whole experience has gone, and I'm hoping it continues to go well from here. But on the way to Washington D.C., and this is supposed to be the biggest highlight of the trip, going there and seeing what there is to see in the nation's capital, and so I'm hoping that let the good times roll.